So in this video, we will have a look at the block tables, and we'll use this dynamic block which we have made in the previous lessons for explaining the lesson. Now let's select the block, then right click and go to block editor. Now here you'll notice that we have this simple sync drawing and we have this distance 1 parameter here. Now let's add some increment value to this parameter so that the block can be stretched to certain specific values only, and for that we can select the distance 1 parameter, then right click and go to properties. Now here in the properties panel, scroll it down and you'll see here in the value set the distance type which is set to none. So let's click it and select list, and now we have the current distance specified here, which is 762 unit between these two endpoints. So now let's add more values to this list, and for that I'll click on this small icon and now add more values here. So we have the 762 already added, so let's now add 850. Click on add. Let's add 1060. Let's add it, and let's add 1600 as the fourth value. So as you can see that I am adding these values very randomly. They are not added at any specified interval. So once you have added these values, click on OK. And now as soon as you select OK, you'll notice that there will be these markers at the specific intervals. And now let's close this properties panel and let's test the block. So now click on this block, and when you click on this grip, you'll notice that we can now stretch this block only to these specified values, and we cannot stretch it to any other values. But in this case, we don't have any visual clue as to what the length of these specific values is. So in order to add any visual clue or a list that represents the length of these increments, we can use block table. So let me just explain it with the correct example here. So I'll close this test block window and now select this block table. So you can select the block table from this dimensional panel, or you can also select it from this actions tab and block properties table. So I'll select this block table from here and now click at a point to specify the action, and now here it will prompt you to specify number of grips, which should be 1. So directly press enter. Now once you press enter, you'll see this block properties table, and here select this add properties, and it will indicate the parameters which are already added, which is distance 1, the linear type parameter, which is here. So select it, click on OK. Now we have this distance 1 parameter, and we need to add the values which we want to see in this parameter or in this list. So click here and you'll see this drop down. Let's select the value, which is 762, the original one. Then click on the second row, select the second value, select the third row, third value, and the final row and the final value. So now we have added all the 4 values. Let's click on OK. And here we have it. The block table is now added. So let's now test the block. So click on this test block. Now select it. And now we have this down pointing grip. Let's select it, and now we have the visual clue as well. So now we can simply see the distances, or the distance between these two endpoints, which is 762 in the first case, 850 in the second, 1060 and 1600. So this is another method of adding increment values or a list of values to the existing dynamic block. Now in this case also you can use this grip to change the values. Obviously this grip will always be there, but if you want to hide this grip for whatever reasons, you can do that as well. So let's now close this test block, and now let's say that we want to hide this grip because it's obviously of no use when we have this block table. So let's select this distance 1 parameter, then right click, go to properties. Now scroll it down, and here you'll see number of grips, which is 1 in this case. So let's change this value to 0, and now we don't have any grip. Don't delete this distance 1 parameter, because if you delete the distance 1 parameter, the block table will lose its importance because it's pulling all of its data from this distance 1 parameter. So you can only change the number of grips, but you cannot delete the parameter in this case. So now let's click on this close icon, and now let's test the block once again. Now select the block, and this time we only have this grip, and we can change the values directly from this grip. So let's now close this test block, and let's close the block editor and save the changes in our block.